Hey, Fearless. Welcome to another Tactical Tuesday. We are trying something new today. I can see your hat in the picture. We're doing something new today. This is going to be super fun. So we are helping out some members in Fearless that just posted a question to us. They posted a question that we just knew that we needed to take some time to help them out. And we thought, you know what, why don't we do it live and get everyone's suggestions? So I see lots of you guys are already on. Sean, Cheryl, Kevin, Derek, lots of you guys. So welcome. Help me out because I've got problems with my voice. And Adriano and Angeline, if you want to turn your cameras on so that when we're ready, and your mic, that when I pull you on, you'll be ready to roll. But hey, so guys, we we are going to help these new investors to get their place rented. So there's a few things that we're going to run through. We've got the magnificent Sam Lee here tonight to help us. So I'm going to bring him on first and introduce you. I'll do that right now. Actually, before I do that, welcome to our new Igniteds. We had quite a few join after boot camp last week. So congrats, welcome. And yeah, we're having a lot of fun already. So we did extend because we had two people who asked and needed us to extend. So we did extend that $1,500 off. So if you are interested in joining Ignited, now is the time. We've never had it such a large discount, and it'll never be this price again. So if you want to join, now is the time to check it out. Anyways, without further ado, I'm going to bring Sam on. Hey, Sam.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm back.
So Sam is one of our Ignited members, and yes, you're back, Sam, because you always bring so much amazing information to us. And you know, you're a joint venture partner, working partner, managing partner. You've managed your own properties. You had a tenant filling vacancy business for many years. So you are the guy when it comes to filling vacancies. So that's why we have to keep having you back. And for any of you guys who miss it, on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sam does a segment right here in Fearless, and it is called Mind Your Own Properties, and it's random tips on how to manage your properties and how to become a better landlord. So yeah, welcome, Sam.
Thank you, and happy to be here. And I always say like that, live session is a spot for me to just randomly talk to someone to share something. So yeah, join us live on Thursday if you can. If not, replay is available as well for some self-managing landlord tips.
Yeah, that's right. Thursdays are always great, and sometimes I catch them afterwards, but you always have such awesome information to share. So we're going to bring on, as you know, Sam, we had a couple that posted in Fearless, and they kind of said, hey, listen, we're new investors and we need to get a place rented. So let's introduce them, and then I'll read you the question that they posted. And everybody, if you have suggestions for them, we want to hear them, because we know that we remember what it was like to be newbies. Remember what it was like to have those vacancies and that mortgage coming out of your bank account while rent was not coming in, and how scary that could be. So we're going to bring them on right now. There we go.
Hi, Sam. I spoke to you already.
Hi.
Yeah. Did you guys touch base already?
A little bit, yeah.
I knew him at
Yes,
where did we meet? James.
Oh yeah, meet up.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So Sam's the guy. Like he knows his stuff in Edmonton's market. He, is really good at helping. He's one of those people that is just always willing to help and to give. So let's read your question out so that everyone is on the same page with us, that we can all be on the same page. We'll read out your question. And then Sam has a few questions for you. So do I. We have some suggestions for you. Hopefully you're taking notes. Yeah. And then certainly a lot of our Ignited members will have advice for you. I'm sure of it. So, okay. Hi, Fearless family. I'm an inexperienced investor who has a renter who signed for an additional 3 months extension until December 2021. Suddenly, they said they're moving out and gave me a person who's interested. Initially, so that's one problem, right? Initially, I asked my tenant in mid-October if I can go to take pictures, but they canceled. Sorry, I have a candy in my mouth because my throat. But they canceled the appointment, so I thought that they would stay. But today, on October 27th, I received a text from a stranger stating he's interested in renting my property because my renter is moving out. So that's another problem. And then third problem I see here is I asked about his credit history, and he said it's bad. Any advice is very much appreciated. So that's the question that you guys posted, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So Sam, you have a little bit of more insight needed, I guess, hey?
Yeah, so it's funny because guess what? You're not the only one approaching me with a question like this. It's quite common. So don't feel bad about that. It's about how to handle the situation now, right? So first of all, I do need to know, is it a condo, townhouse, house, duplex, or what type of unit is it?
Oh wow, it's muffled your voice. I can hardly hear. Oh,
Oh.
can you get our
So, yeah, if you use earbuds, it might help. But his question, can you hear me okay?
Yes. So I'll mute mine.
No, you
I'll
don't have
mute
to
mine if
No, you don't have to mute. I'll just repeat Sam's question for you then.
Oh, okay.
So you can move your camera back down if you want so we can see you guys again. So Sam just said, what kind of place is it? Is it a townhouse, a house, a duplex, condo?
Oh, it's just a townhouse.
Okay. And is your current tenant
Three.
already moved out or they're still inside?
Yeah, they moved. They said they cleaned last night, and then we are going today for move out inspection.
Okay, so has they moved out, give you back the keys yet, or not happened yet?
Wow.
So-
Why I can't hear you?
You know what, Sam? Actually, I can hear you just fine, but a lot of people are saying they can't hear you.
Okay, let me drop my mic.
Sure. So Sam's question to you was, so did they already move out? Do you have keys?
Yes.
Or is that what you're getting today?
Yes, they moved out already. They said they will clean yesterday, and it's ready to be checked today. But I'm waiting until this will be done before we go. So, in case
Okay, is now better with my microphone, or anyone can leave on a comment? Is it better now?
Yes, yes.
Good now. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so because a lot of situation we handle differently if the tenant's still inside the unit or if they already out perfect, it make 10 times easier. So first of all, to address a couple of your questions, right, is like technically your tenant want an extension of the lease and they change their mind now and they want to get out now, right? Legally, they did sign the extension, so they are obligated to finish the lease. But in saying that, it's a 3-month lease, 3-month extension lease only. I think the first comment I would say is next time, never do a 3-month extension into a winter month. We are very seasonal market in Edmonton, so I will never allow anyone extend their lease into a winter month, right? They either, I like to find my tenant in the summer month, right? So if for whatever reason they need to extend, they have to at least do a 6-month lease. In saying that, to avoid this happen for you next year, whoever the new tenant, make sure you do a 6-month or 18-month lease right now, so that you reposition yourself to summer month next time when you find a tenant. I think this is one of the most important key points you want to know right away. Okay.
Yeah, totally agree. Makes sense, guys? Sorry, does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah, because some already like gave me all those tips, so I
yeah.
when I
Good.
spoke to you.
Yeah, and then the second thing is like when we want to find out if the tenant's still inside the unit or they are already out. We handle it totally differently if they are still inside the unit, right? Sometimes when they stuck in the unit, they are not out yet or whatever reason. A lot of the time for us, the first thing you want to do is take control of the unit again, right? By saying that means like you want the possession back, right? If they're still inside, sometimes make your showing harder to find the next tenant. You don't know what crazy thing they can do inside, right? So to end the relationship, we always say take back possession first, and then you can talk those money and terms later. Okay.
So and what's interesting about that? So Sam, you know how we learn things every day. So about maybe 3 years ago, so I've managed properties in Alberta for the last 16, 17, 18 years, and I learned the hard way that I went to the RTDRS and I had done the inspection move out report. So they broke their lease, but they were still obligated to pay because they were still in a lease. So until you re-rent it, they are obligated to pay the rent until you find another renter. Did you guys know that?
Yeah, I was speaking to the RTDRS, and that's what they told me.
Yes. So now you can have them continue to pay, but as soon as you get another renter, you can't collect rent twice. So you have to cut the one. But here's the thing. If you do the move out inspection, that ends the lease in Alberta.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. So that will end their obligation to you. So it was about 3 years ago. And again, I've been managing properties for a long time here, that I had a hearing and the judge said, I'm so sorry, you've done everything right, but you should not have done the move out inspection because essentially you ended the lease on that date.
Oh my God.
They're no longer responsible.
Really?
So, yeah. So tonight, for example, you cannot do a move out inspection if you want to continue to have them responsible for rent.
Oh my God. See, that's so perfect. So I would cancel the appointment then, right?
Yeah. So you can explain that to them. To say, I just learned that if I do a move out inspection with you, that ends our lease, but your lease is actually until December. So I can't do it with you until I found a new renter.
Okay.
I will still need to get keys and to give you some ideas on what we might need to do
Oh
more.
my God, I want to listen, but it's cutting. How can I fix the sorry. How can we fix this one? Do you know any?
Do you have more than one device running on your Wi-Fi right now?
Sorry?
Are there more than one device listening to this?
Oh, is there more than one device listening to me right now? Do you have me on your phone and on your computer or something like that?
No. Should I use the phone and use the earbuds or? Let's try the earbuds. Can you get the earbuds?
The earbuds in the computer, maybe?
Whatever device you're connected with.
Yeah, whatever you're connected to, use the earbuds.
Well, that's a very interesting point, Tiffany. Like to do the move out inspection and the lease, I will still go in today and document. I might not call it a move out inspection, but I will still document the existing condition when they leave. I don't know what the condition will look like, right? And today, and if the condition is bad, I might just end the lease so that I can start fixing up the house, right? I was thinking if they're in perfect condition, then your theory might work. But if they are already damaging the house, you need certain repair need to be done. I think it's the time to just end the relationship. And it's not they are breaking a 1 year lease; they are breaking only two months left, right? So I think it's really case by case scenario.
Yeah, totally. Can you guys hear me okay? Oh, we just lost them. Can you hear me okay, Sam?
Yeah, I can hear you okay, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I don't know if that gets rid of the chatter, guys, but Sean said it sounded like it was coming from me. So yeah, awesome. Sweet, Sean, thanks. Okay, so until we get our guests back, yeah, Sam, you make a good point. Sometimes it's better to just end that relationship so that you can get through it. That having been said, you know, you have to kind of weigh each, like you said, that case by case scenario. You know, is the rent money going to help you pay for repairs? Is it in great, you know, show condition anyway? Are you going to get it to be redone? So it was me this whole time. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. You know what? These might have been on. I don't know. Anyways, okay, sweet. And now I just talking to them. Great, sorry.
Just fill the gap. We will continue the discussion, and this is the fun part about a lot of the time people will ask us like, oh, what will you handle this situation? There's really no one standard answer. We have we in Alberta, the best thing is we have a lot of tools as landlord with our strong tenancy law, and we can play with it, right? Sometimes some situation we will even prefer to just terminate early. Like, yes, they are obligated for the rest of the lease, but if they are pain in the butt, they are not showable, the unit, it doesn't matter how many times I show it, the unit is not showable, I can't find the next tenant, it's a deadlock then, right? Then in those situations, we will decide, like if it's summer month due, we will just end the lease and then say, you know what, we're just going to keep your 1 month deposit, mutual agreement, let's call this done, and then let them go. It's actually doing yourself a favor, right? But another tactic you play with is sometimes, like if they are just, you know, they have the affordability to carry the rents, they have good credit, they care, and they will work with you in the situation. Sometimes then we will play out the scenario that, yeah, you are responsible until we find another tenant, but guess what? They have the best incentive to help you find another tenant now because they want to get out of the lease, right? So it's really case by case scenario.
Yeah, I love it. So I have a tenant right now. There we go. I'll just mute and unmute you guys as needed, guys. But we're just continuing the discussion here. And I have a tenant right now that broke his lease. And he understands that, you know, he's responsible, but honestly, he's been an amazing tenant for so very long that I've just, you know, we've again agreed to just, I'll keep his damage deposit. That gives me 1 month. I'll do a little bit of minor renovations. And yeah, he's going on his merry way, which is a win for me. So it's just, yeah, either way, right? So I don't know if you guys can hear us okay, but that is one tip, just because I know you can get this on the replay, but I want you guys to make sure to hear that tonight Sam would still recommend that you go and just tell them, you know, take a look at the condition and let them know that they're responsible for, you know, fixing certain things if that needs doing or cleaning. And that the better condition they leave it in, the faster you'll be able to find someone else to rent it, and the sooner they'll be off the hook for the rent.
So we have to go and inspect the property?
Yes, so you would still go and look, you just would not sign a move-out inspection.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, you just go and give them suggestions.
Okay.
I think more important is you go there tonight and then you have to explain what is their obligation. So A, you are breaking the lease, right? B is like you are responsible until we find the next tenant, assuming the condition is good and showable, right? C is like it comes to like they have to understand too. Another very important pieces is I don't know what your existing rent is. There's a good chance if you want to find a tenant right now, especially we're going into the winter month, you should drop your rent a little bit to help you find the next tenant faster, but they need to understand they are responsible for the differences of the rent as well. Assuming I will guess your rent may be around the 1,400 mark. if you can only rent it for the 1,200 mark, right? Now they're responsible for the $200 differences for the last 2 months because their lease end on December, right?
Actually, it was very cheap. Like I emailed them to if they want to stay because winter is hard to move, that as they said. And I said, if you want to stay until summer, I won't increase it. But still, like, they chose to move out, and they didn't tell me until they found someone that they thought it can move out. But then when I asked the person if when is he when does he plan to move into that to my property, and he said December 1st, so he can give proper notice to her landlord, which is the proper way to do, as I told him. So I told my this current tenant that I told them that they are responsible, but until I rent my property, and it's so cheap, like 1,200, and I wanted to raise it to maybe 1,385 or 1,395, but they still moved out. So
okay, so the point is, like, if you're only renting it for 1,200 and you get 13 now, then great, you're winning. But the point is, if you get less than what you're getting now, the current tenant has to make up that shortfall. So if there's no shortfall, then great. That's awesome. But Sean Kearney is saying this too, and I'm sure Sam was going to mention it, and I have it in my notes to mention it as well. But the gentleman that you're talking about moving in for December 1st, is that the guy that said he has bad credit?
yes.
Okay. Sam, what's your thought on bad credit tenants?
Well, usually depends on the scenario, unless they really can prove they are changing their habit for the last 3 years. On the credit report, then we will consider, but usually, like, it's hard to just judge good or bad, right? You always have to see the whole scenario. I remember you discussed to me. So here's the thing: if you should not let the control on tenants' hands. Like, finding the next tenant should always in your hands, right? You should not give out that control. They will find everyone to just get out from their lease. So that's a bad idea to just accept whoever they suggest you. And even though they suggest any tenant, no problem. You still have to go through the same screening process.
Right.
So in my opinion, Angeline, I wouldn't, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I have a scratch in my throat, but I would not rent to somebody that has bad credit, especially if it's in this situation. So I would start advertising to find your own tenant.
Especially now, it's way easier too, because your unit is finally empty. Your availability to show is way easier as well, right? So, well, maybe just give an application to that tenant and let them go through the screening process. But most likely, if they already upfront tell you it's not good credit, most likely it's not fitting your criteria, then it's easier to just turn them down. A lot of the time, even in our pre-screening question, we did it on our live section last week, is like, we ask people upfront, like, we are looking for tenant with good credit. Do you know where your credit stand, right? This is a standard screening question that we always ask before we show the unit to other people, right? So just start fresh and find the right tenant so that you don't need to experience the same situation, right? And hi, Corey.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, Tiffany is having a coughing attack right now, so I'm stepping in to hopefully continue talking about something that she has a lot of experience in, but I don't have a lot of answers for you. So Sam, I'm glad you're here. So yes, bad credit. So I didn't quite hear what you thought because I just put what you said because I just put the earphones in a few seconds ago, but credit is a major factor. I know that when it comes to the tenants that we accept, and I'm sure that's what you were saying, Sam.
Yeah, correct. Like, I just suggest like she start fresh and go through the same screening process you should do anyway. And credit is one of the best way to screen out people that you don't want. And this is what you should start marketing properly. I know one of the question you asked on the post is like, how can you find the next tenant? How you find it faster, right? All this. So basically, you want to do the same thing: good photos, good video, show it as much as you can now, because a lot of people still taking their last chance to get in any houses before the snow in Edmonton. We see a lot of activities on the market right now. And usually there is an unspoken rules in Edmonton too, is when you see the first snow, a lot of property management companies start dropping the rent substantially. Yeah, so you want to make sure you have it rented before that.
Yeah, and that is a big point when it comes to the market in Edmonton, absolutely. And you know what? Quite frankly, all across Canada, when we come into the winter season, it's a little harder to find tenants. People don't want to be moving in the middle of winter, so this is the time of year that it gets a little bit more difficult to find tenants. But yes, I think I will echo exactly what Sam was saying when it comes to credit. Let's just focus on that for a second. Make sure that whatever tenants you put in your property have a decent credit rating. I think that is extremely important, because if they don't, what's the recourse? You know, the recourse that you can have is somebody's credit rating. That's kind of the strength that you have as a landlord going forward, to make sure that somebody is either A, going to pay their rent, or B, you know, make sure that the property stays in good condition, is their credit rating. So if somebody goes into a property with bad credit and they don't really care whether that gets a bad score or bad chalk against it, then, you know, what recourse do you have? Very little. You know, you might ask them to do certain things. You might ask them to pay their rent. You might ask them to do whatever. It doesn't really carry much weight if they don't care about their credit. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
Adriano? Yes.
Plus,
I heard you say yes.
I think right now they are living separately.
Okay. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. They're living separately, so they are planning now to be together if they said if they can get this house. So
Yeah.
it's kind of scary if
Okay.
in the future they say, oh, she pays the rent, or he pays the rent. Then
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so have you guys heard, I see a lot of chat, a lot of mention in the chat about single key to screen tenants. Have you guys used single key as far as screening your tenants to this point? Do you know what single key is?
No, I don't. We don't.
Okay, so single key is a, and I know Sam, you I'm sure have used it. I don't know if you use it on a regular basis, but it is a way to screen tenants. It will help you assess the risk as far as taking a tenant on. In fact, we're going to be interviewing single key here. I don't know the exact date, but I'm pretty sure it's. Oh, we just did. Okay, we just did when was it? Okay, within the last month, we interviewed single key. There you go, guys. So you can have a look back at that training that we did, and we'll send you the link to that. But yeah, and there's a lot of mention here in the chat that is a way to screen your tenant. And here's the thing, guys, is I know that, how many investment properties do you have? Is this the one you have?
Oh, we yeah, only one because we sold the other one. A bad decision.
Okay, perfect. Yes. And so I know when you have one investment property and you're seeing a vacancy and you're in Edmonton and it's coming up to winter and maybe the list of available tenants is not growing, we can get nervous as landlords, we can get nervous as investors, nervous as owners of a property. We still have to pay the mortgage. We're going to be scared whether we get rent or not. How are we going to afford this? But the one thing that I will say that sometimes we start to overlook is if we put the wrong tenant in the property, that will cost us a lot more money in the end than if we put, maybe wait and put the right tenant in that property. Would you agree with that, Sam?
Yeah, for sure. And this is something because you're lucky, you're in Alberta, we have something called fixed term lease. So we have the power to do a shorter lease so that if you want the option to change out your tenant, you can, not like other province, right? So we always say, like in the winter month in Edmonton or in Alberta, your game for finding a renter is to find someone qualified to get through the winter. So maybe a 6 month, right? A 6 month lease, and then you can always, you cannot increase the rent right away within the 365 days, but the next time you renew, you can still negotiate to increase the rents back to the normal rate for the second part of the lease, which is the second 6 month, right? So those are very specific strategy we use for the winter month, so to get you right through the winter month, right? And this is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big point because there's a lot of people that let's say somebody's building a home and they got to wait for it to be completed and they just need to rent something for a few months or 6 months or something like that. Let's say somebody is moving to the city and they don't know where they want to live, so they only want to rent for a short period of time. There's so many reasons we can go on and on as to why people want to rent on a little bit shorter of a time. But when most tenants call a listing that is being listed right now, they're going to say, well, it's a minimum of 1 year lease. That's what most landlords are saying. But if you guys can get through the winter months, get to spring, if you can offer something less than a 1 year lease, so maybe like Sam was saying, a 5 month, a 6 month, a 7 month, get yourself through the winter periods. Maybe what that does is it opens you up to a lot of other potential tenants that could be great tenants, but aren't being accepted in other areas because the minimum that other properties are accepting is a 1 year lease. And it's kind of standard. 1 year lease is kind of a standard thing. But if you're willing to maybe accept less than that, and it doesn't have to be a 1 year, a 6 month, it can be a 5 month, a 7 month, an 8 month. You can put whatever finishing term. So let's say you get to the end of May or the beginning of June or middle of June or whatever it is that you want, but get yourself to spring. Maybe discount your rent slightly, get through the winter months, and then, come spring, that gives you the time between now and then to market properly, the time to find a really good tenant, the time to find somebody that might be there a little bit more long-term, lift that stress off of you over these winter months, because you don't want to be vacant for 2, 3, 4 months straight while you look for that good tenant. But if you make some changes in your advertising, offering something that, people can't find out there on a regular basis, then that could be something that could bring a good tenant in.
We actually get 2 calls at least this week. People moving from BC to Edmonton for a new job, and they ask for 6 months lease specifically. I asked why, right? Because they're prepared to buy a house in the spring market, right? So there is inquiry like that. Another unspoken rule, if you're investing in Alberta, you want to know is if your unit empty after December, most likely your January or February is going to be empty as well, right? So you do want to take action now to try to get it moving before the winter heats.
What other questions do you guys have at this point from what you've heard so far?
Yeah, I was listening to Tiffany earlier. She was explaining about the our no when she sorry when she went to
The court.
the court, yeah, and that she finished the what do you call that? The
When she
moving
went to
out.
the
The
okay, the
moving
moving
out.
out inspection. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So what is like we are in the same boat right now, so we shouldn't fill out the moving out inspection then because
They have
Correct. Yes. So there's a difference between, here's the difference. There's a difference between meeting the tenant there, having a look at the property, checking to make sure everything is okay. Maybe there's this needs to be touched up, that needs to be fixed, this needs to be cleaned. You can still walk through and tell them these things. But I think the point that Tiffany was trying to get across was that once you sign the move out inspection paperwork, that ends the lease. And so then they're off the hook going forward. So these tenants that you have now are still technically on the hook until the end of their lease or until you find another tenant to replace them with. And so, but if you go in there now and do a move out and sign that paperwork, then they're off the hook. Bang,
Right.
done, gone. Okay. So I think Tiff's point, and I think Sam mentioned this as well, was go in, check out the place, make sure that it, maybe there's some things that they can do to help you rent it quicker.
let's see.
Sorry, my earbud fell out. So maybe there's some things you can do to help they can do to help you rent it quicker, which only benefits them. So it's all about positioning, and we tell this to investors all the time. It's all about how you talk, how you position things. And Tiffany's back; she's not coughing up a lung, so she's okay, everybody. But it's all about how you position things with people. So if you go into them and say, "Hey, listen, guys, we're trying to work with you here. We want you off this lease. We want your obligation to be gone. But us as owners, us as landlords, we need to have that income coming in. So we need to have another tenant replace that income in order to get you off that lease. So what can you guys do? Let's walk through this property. Let's look at it and see what things you guys can do to make sure that it's in top-notch condition so that it's easy for us to rent when we show it to other tenants. And so then when other tenants come in here, they're going to just take it, bang, they take it, we agree to a lease, you guys are off the hook, we're happy we got a tenant, and it's a win-win for everybody. So that's kind of how you explain it to them when you go in there to explain it to them. Does that make sense?
Yes, and my tenant, the previous tenant before this one, they stayed there for 7 years. So they move out, but this tenant right now, they just move in without us, painting or ready the properties. So I made addendum or supplement that they waive the right for me to get the property ready, and I made like include in their lease that when they move out they will be responsible for fixing or whatever damage that was done. Is that possible or
Okay, so Tiff is listening to you on the other earbud here, and she's going to step in and answer that question, okay? Because I think she has a point. Here we go. Go ahead, hon. No, you got it.
Sorry. Thanks, Sam. So Sam, what do you think about that? You can answer first.
Sorry, I missed the question. I was
Oh,
having so much fun to see Corey drop the earbud, so I missed the question.
I know, my goodness, this is such a gong show. It's hilarious. Okay, so the question I believe was because the previous tenants moved in. Actually, I have a question for you guys. So you said that you had them sign an addendum that said that you didn't have to have the property ready for them. You didn't have to have it, whatever, cleaned and all that. They were taking it as is.
yes,
And
yes.
so did you do a move-in inspection with them?
That's my mistake because I shouldn't like. I've known after I did the inspection move in.
So you did
So
do
yeah,
an
we did an
inspection move-in?
inspection moving in.
Okay, good. And you
Yeah.
signed it and gave them a copy of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
But then when I was talking to the landlord and tenant advisory board, they said you shouldn't do an inspection. That's what they told me. But now that you did a move-in inspection, then they cannot be responsible now. That's what the landlord and tenant advisory board told me at that time.
Well,
But then I made
yeah.
I made a few pages here saying that, you know, because they were the one who agreed that no, we need to move in. It's okay. We will absorb whatever because they are friends or close relatives. So she said, at the end of my lease, I will be responsible for whatever damage that they left. That's what they said. So I've written here. It says,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah, as you said, they move in as is, knowing and fully aware that there was no sufficient time for the usual cleaning period or to get the place ready for our occupancy. And also I put some that
Let me just kind of say in Alberta anyways, and in many places, in many jurisdictions anyways, provinces, no matter what we put in our leases, it doesn't really matter if the RTA or the legislation says differently. We can say whatever we want to, and they can even sign and agree to it. But if it goes against what the legislation says, the legislation always wins.
oh,
So even if they've agreed to anything that you've asked, it doesn't really matter if the law says different. So in this case, because they accepted it in less than perfect condition, the law still says that they have to give it back to you in perfect condition. So they have to give it back to you as good as or better than what you gave it to them.
okay.
So regardless of what they signed, it doesn't really matter. They are responsible to give it back to you in good condition. But if there was damages beforehand and they're marked on the move-in inspection, then of course they're not responsible for that because they didn't do those things. So you would be responsible to fix those things.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's another good point, Tiffany, you bring up is if there is a tenant take over the lease or like in a situation like that, a lot of the normal practice we should do is the new tenant move in, you still do a proper move-in inspection and recording the existing condition. Obviously, yeah, Sean say perfectly, take picture, take video. A lot of the time, the report, you can only record so much. Video pictures say a lot of words, right? But if there's a tenant take over in a situation like that, you should still do a new set of move-in inspection and move-out inspection eventually to complete the tenancy paperwork.
Okay. Yeah, we did.
So going forward, guys, let's talk about how to get this place rented. We have about 15 more minutes here. So let's talk about what are you going to do to get it rented? So first thing on my list was that you need to get some good pictures of the place. Now, a lot of people say I can't take pictures because one, the tenants wouldn't let me come. So just so you know, you can give 24 hours notice, and you can just say to them, hey, I'll be coming on this date at this time, and you're welcome to be there, but it's okay if you're not. I'll just go in with my own key. And you can take those pictures as long as you've given 24 hours notice. Now, the other thing is, if let's say those pictures are less than beautiful, you can get them digitally fixed before you post an ad. But you need good pictures if you want to get good tenants. So number one for me was you need to get some good pictures. Do you have any questions about that?
Yeah, actually, I found a photographer, so we are meeting him tomorrow at 9.
Perfect.
But
All right,
but
Sam, what's the
also
next thing they should do? Oh, sorry.
but also I was talking to property management, but I don't quite understand the two options that she gave me, and I keep calling her, but I guess she's busy. Like, she mentioned two options, like we can manage your property with I'm sure standard 10%, and the other one is we can find tenant for you and then hands off for us and you manage it. But I couldn't understand that, like um
The difference.
the fee, which
Sam,
one
do
is which.
you want to explain the difference?
Well, I think the difference is like one is tenant placement service, which was what I did before, and they just find you the tenant. You still have to do the ongoing management. The other one is just they take on everything. Then you don't have to worry about anything, right? It sounds like full property management service will help you in your current situation more, just so that you can buy your time to learn or learn from them. I will be a little bit cautious if you say she's too busy to answer your phone call right now, and then maybe they the best people to respond to tenant, right? I do want to sideway a little bit, Tiff, like you talk about, like I know on your post you talk about they don't allow you to go in even you give the 24 hours notice, right? I do want to sideway a little bit and talk about, I think a lot of the time, you guys are such a nice people or two nice people, you do need to build your image or stand your ground as a business owner or like as a landlord, because I totally feel your tenant have power over you. And just because like they feel like they can play you around, and that's why you are in today's situation. And if you are sometimes if you don't think you can be the business people, or you need your time to develop to that position, property management is a good solution for you for today, because they do this as a business, right? We dealt with a lot of landlord. The biggest problem they always run into is they don't know what they're doing a lot of the time, unfortunately, and they got overpowered by the tenants, and the tenant even claim something not legit, and they will scare the landlord, and then the landlord do whatever they ask, or don't even like they say, oh, 24 hour notice, no, you cannot come, right? You just need to understand what's your rules, what's the rules provide you in better, and execute them properly, right? I think this is very good tips for you down the road as well. Go back to your question, what should you do now? Definitely your place is empty now, so it's good to start marketing your place properly. I'm pretty sure you should be able to get some good photos now because it's empty now. You can show as often as you can. I will put on every single platform that you can put on, like Ramfaster, Ramboard, or if you're using the property manager, make sure they're doing every platform that they can, because if you don't market, you won't get any lead. And you don't get any lead, you won't get a tenant.
The reason why we didn't go, because I thought that they will be staying until December or
Yeah.
continue until summer, because I said I'm not going to increase if you said you're gonna stay. Like, I understand well, that's, as you said, you are too nice. So I said, okay, I won't increase. If you want to stay, you can stay until next summer. So it's not hard for you to move out. But then this is what happened to me. Like suddenly so when they canceled for me to go to take a picture, that's what I thought came to my mind. I said, oh, maybe they will stay. So I didn't, I didn't.
And a lot of the time it's okay. Like it's just we always say the mistake is the best lesson you can have, and you can't learn this from the book, right? Just move on, no problem, right? So focus on what you can do today, right? Get it re-rented, get the right tenant, and you actually learn a lot. So you know exactly what you shouldn't do next time, right? So again, like I always say, like doesn't matter how good the tenant or how bad the tenant, they are just one tenant for your like years be a landlord, to be honest. And I dealt with so many tenants. I have very good tenants, but in the end of the day, when the tenancy end, our relationship almost end at that point. Sometimes I get referral from them for other tenants, right? But in the end of the day, they are just one of your customer. So don't get too hold up about that. Just move on and do the right thing now. Right?
Yeah, awesome advice. And one thing I wanted to say too, just on that whole note about property management, is that if you miss 1 month of vacancy, that pays your whole year worth of property management. So really, we think of it as, oh, I don't want to give up 10%. But if you look at it over a year, if they're doing a better job than you can, because they know what they want, sometimes they can get you more rent. Can I have the other earbud? Sometimes they can get you more rent, and sometimes they can get you just no vacancies. And that alone, you're going to be ahead of the game if you look at it from a year's perspective.
See, I told you.
Thank you.
I told you. I love it. Okay, so couple other quick thoughts is like in your ads, be very clear. If you're doing Facebook and that sort of thing, be very clear. There's a basement, but it's unfinished. There's a yard, but it's not fenced. We take pets, we take smokers. This is what the damage deposit is. Whatever it is, if the ad is still up, it's available. We don't take partiers. Put as much information as you can so that you are guarding your time if you're going to be managing it yourself. Still put your ads up now, even if you're going to hire a property manager, and just funnel all those leads to them. Even if that means you have to pay a little bit more money to do your ads, it's okay. It's worth it. And my last point, I guess, is most banks allow you to skip a payment. And so I wanted to just mention that really quickly, that sometimes you can skip a payment if you're not going to get rent. Usually once a year, most banks will let you do that. You'll still have to pay the interest portion, but you will not have to pay the principal portion. And that can help you in tough times like this when there's a little bit of a cash flow crunch. So don't be afraid to do that and use it if it's going to help you get through to the next month or whatever it is.
Okay.
And anything else, Sam?
Well, that's a good tips actually, like the skip the payment. Yeah, that's a very good tips to help you flow through. I think it's more important. It's like you have to make the decision. Do you want to do it yourself, or you want to use the professional to do it? And we always say sometimes when you hire a professional to take on the task, sometimes you are not only hiring them just do the work, you're hiring their experience, right? A lot of the time when you hire their experience, which you lack of, it can like shortcut your time a lot, right? Like we do totally different marketing strategy in the winter month than the summer month, right? And this you might learn from the book, you might using the same set of strategy for the whole year, but suddenly you find there's a substantial difference. And this is not I'm telling you, like the professional, they're not smarter than you, they just do 10 times more better than you, more than you. They do it more than, that's why they're smarter, right? So just sometimes just leave it to let them do what they do best, and then maybe you can just sit back and enjoy. It's even better, right?
That's nice. Okay.
Awesome. And if you want some recommendations of property managers that we use, that Sam uses, we have some tenant placement in our Ignited program. In Edmonton, we have property managers that we can recommend to you. So certainly you can reach out and we can share those with you too, so that you can find someone that we know is good and that has a good reputation. So other than that, guys, I wish you the best of luck. I think you've got a good start on some good advice and getting this place done and ready. Any other questions that you have right before we wrap up?
Yeah. I guess that's it. And I appreciate so much these interactions. It's really nice to be with like-minded. So,
I have a question.
okay.
Uh, since they already moved out and they haven't we haven't signed the move out list yet. And of course, we are looking for the tenant. Are they still allowed to go inside that house? Are
That's
they
a good
still like
question.
in the future? Are
Yeah,
they still allowed?
that's a very good question. Legally, they might, but I would not allow them to go back in.
Oh, okay. So because they
Yeah.
already move out, right? Like,
Yeah, technically, I would just explain to them that, hey, you are the one you need to move. We are doing the best to find your next tenant. So the best way for us to do is if you keep this unit empty and it's always showable for us, so that we can show anytime, every time, right? That's why it's important that you give me the key now, and then you don't go back and basically don't go back and screw up anything.
oh yeah,
Yeah. And it's important to say to them, I'm on your side. I am doing my very best to get you out of this lease as soon as possible. And if you can, tell them, and again, have them believe I'm working hard for you as well, go in as a team. And if they start to get upset at you, I've said to people, listen, I'm on your side. Let's stay on the same side, okay? We're both working for the same thing. Let's keep it that way. And people go, oh, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I'm just a little bit upset. So, you guys do your very best that you can. You've got some really good advice tonight, I think.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and just think of them like your kids. You have to be strong, but you have to be kind. And if you do that, then they're gonna listen.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I probably let it manage like just to put a renter there, and then maybe we'll
Yeah.
take over after. I think that's what Davis Property Management was saying, but I don't know the fee, because there is fee that 950 and then there is 399. So that's the part I didn't get it. Which one is the fee for just putting a tenant and then I take over? What's the fee for those two parts or two options that you guys know?
It depends on the company. It's going to be different for every company. So if you want to email in to us, info@Investor Life, we can take a look at their offer and let you know which is which. But in the meantime, I have to wrap up because we only have an hour. So I do have to wrap up, but if you want to hang on for a second,
Okay.
I'm going to wrap up the show and I'll come back to you, okay? So I'll just take you out for a second here. Thank you guys so much.
Okay.
Good luck. And I'll be right back to you. Sam, thank you for your help and for, oh my goodness, for jumping in when I've been paying for boot camp. Holy smokes, talking too much for, 3 days. Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys. We have Air DNA on next week. So, come and join us next week to get an inside view of what they do and how they help us as investors. And in the meantime, Sam, great partner. If anyone's looking for some multifamily stuff, he's moving into multifamily and he knows his stuff, as you could see, and he's just a good human. So if anyone needs anything, get in touch with Samuel Lee on Facebook. And we'll see you guys all next week. And Igniteds, we'll see you over in Laser in right now. All right.
Bye.
Cheers, everyone. Have a great weekend.